Good morning, Region 1 FFA members. This is going to be the video where we talk about everyone's officer positions, and we actually come together and we have a little roundtable discussion about what we think each position is. So sit back and enjoy this video talking all about officer positions, roles, and duties. Hi, everyone. I'm Wyatt. I'm from the Thief River Falls FFA. This year, I'm going to be a senior, and I'm also serving as your Region 1 president this year.
Hi, everyone. My name is Ian MacArthur from the Monoman FFA chapter. I'm going to be a senior at Monoman High School, and I am serving as your Region 1 Vice President.
Hello, everyone. I'm Hannah Fisher. I'm from the Rossay FFA chapter. I'll be a freshman at MSUM, and I'll be serving as your Region 1 secretary.
Hi, my name is Levi from the Holly FFA chapter. I will also be a senior this year, and I am serving as your region treasurer.
Hello, everyone. My name is Caden Johnson. I'm going to be a junior this year, but I'm also going to be a PSEO student this year at UMC. And this year, I am serving as your Region 1 reporter.
I'm Robert Blanchard. I'm going to be a senior at the Detroit Lakes High School, and I'm currently serving as your Region 1 Sentinel.
Hey everyone, I'm Madison Spear from the Monoman FFA chapter. I will also be a senior, and I am serving as your Region 1 historian.
Hi, I am Katie Erickson, and I am from the Fertile Trimming FFA chapter, and I am going to be a junior, and I'm serving as your Region 1 parliamentarian.
And greetings, Region 1. I am Mrs. Olson. I will be the Region 1 FFA advisor for this year and serving at the Rotsay FFA.
The president's duties are as follows. Preside over meetings according to accepted rule of parliamentary procedure. Appoint committees and serve on them as a non-voting member. Coordinate the activities of the chapter and evaluate the progress of each division of the POA. Represent the chapter in official relations and public functions. And the following. So starting out talking about the president position, I think the president should be the person leading the meetings. They should be really comfortable public speaking. I think another big part is being kind of the liaison between the community and the chapter, reaching out to sponsors, reaching out to community members and agriculturalists in the community, letting them know that FFA is a thriving organization in their school and community. And if at any time they want to help out, they can go right ahead with giving us sponsorships, giving us opportunities to do community service and build our name for the FFA and let people know that, we are here and we're not technically future farmers, but we're ready to be agriculturalists and help you pick corn and then deliver it to the food shelter, which is something that we've done.
I definitely think it's important for them to be a leader, because I remember my first year in FFA, I looked up to my chapter president, which was the town hick, of course. But, having someone in that position that can tell you, just because you don't have cowboy boots and a cowboy hat doesn't mean that you can't thrive in FFA and that you can't make a name for yourself in FFA. And it's really important that you have that person that you can go and look to.
For sure, definitely. And I think there's always some hysteria, you could say, between like, oh, this person's the president, they're better than me, blah, blah, blah. And yes, maybe their opening ceremony is before yours or different from yours, but in no way do I see any officer position less important than the other. And while technically the president's leading meetings and has a larger role, that's no reason to say that me being the president is better than Levi being treasurer or vice versa. There's positives and negatives to each officer position, and people are set there for a reason, because that's what they can do and that's what they're willing to do. Anyone else?
I definitely think that for the president, it's always important for them to be very organized. At our chapter, personally, the presidents have usually been in charge of planning meeting days and figuring out how to reach members and making sure that members are actually attending these events. And so they're the ones who are usually corresponding with the businesses, at least at our chapter level. And then they were also just kind of there to keep the order, whether it was at our parley practices. Those always ran a bit long because we could get a little feisty, but they were usually there to just keep the peace and then keep the organization and keep us running smoothly throughout the year.
For sure. Thank you, Kaden. It's very insightful.
I think it can be really important for the president to interact with our younger or new members a lot. I think there's a lot more motivation for a young member to get involved if the chapter president is like, hey, can you help me with this specific thing or activity? You know, if an officer, especially like the leader of your chapter, if they're asking for your help specifically, that's like a big motivator to jump in and get involved.
For sure. That's a really good point, because it's true that people will look up to you as an officer, especially younger members who are like, oh my goodness, big, scary upperclassmen. Especially if you get in touch with them, I think it can really be a positive for them.
Hello, Region 1. I am Ian MacArthur, and I will be serving as your Region Vice President for the year. The Vice President's duties are to assume all duties of the President if necessary, develop the program of activities, and serve as an ex officio non-voting member of the POA Committee, to coordinate all committee work, and to work closely with the President and the advisor to assess progress towards meeting chapter goals.
So I think for a Vice President, the roles should include obviously working closely with the President in everything that they do, and being the leader of meetings when they're not present. And I also think it's important that they work closely with committees, as it states in the handbook, whether that be through attending committee meetings or appointing committees.
For sure, all good things. I kind of wrote down that I think the vice president is, in almost better words, like the right-hand man or woman to the president, someone for the president to consult with before the rest of the group, and not in a way where you're trying to like leave others out, but if there's something that's like case sensitive and the president and the vice president need to kind of talk and consult about something before they bring it up to the rest of the officer team, that's there. So it's not necessary, and in certain cases I think it could be very helpful, but it's there to have that person to lean on for more than just when you're sick and can't lead a meeting, but also when you have difficult things that you're trying to figure out and you need someone else's help.
For sure. Anything else?
I know just in the case of my chapter, I was vice president last year, and in my experience, I was more of the one to reach out to the younger crowd instead of our president. And I think it was a little less scary for the little kids to seek out the vice president rather than the big, scary president that we had. I know we got a lot more younger kids involved when I did ag mechanics with them, because they had someone there and they're like, whoa, this isn't as unheard of as you would think of. So that position definitely helps make it a little less scary in terms of interacting with the members, but it definitely, you still hold that position where they're like, whoa, she's pretty cool.
Very well said. All right, then Hannah, you can take it from here.
Hello everyone, it's Hannah Fisher, the Region 1 Secretary. It is important as a secretary to be able to prepare and post the agenda for each chapter meeting, prepare and present the minutes of each chapter meeting, place all committee reports in the secretary's file, be responsible for all chapter correspondence, and maintain a member attendance and activity records and issue membership cards. It's also important to have on hand for each meeting your secretary's file. So this is my first year being secretary, but one of the biggest goals that I've noticed is keeping records is so important. Keeping records of everything that we do, everything that we talk about, making sure that if someone can't attend a meeting, that I have the minutes ready for them, that I have any information, any programs, anything that they would need. As a region, we actually have a pretty cool competition at the end of the year where you can show off all of your meeting records and your secretary's books. You can actually find that from your advisors. You just ask them and they'll pull up a room rec for you. It talks about the general guidelines, the completeness and the accuracy of it, everything that you need, from how many reports you need, how many officer reports you need, how many minutes of each meeting that you need, the report summaries, pretty much all of that stuff that you would take during a meeting, and you can get judged on it, and based on your judging you can see how well you did throughout the year.
That was a really awesome explanation. Thanks for adding that part about that secretary's book. How I look at it, I look at the secretary's role as a lot. It's a lot of work. It's documenting everything said in past meetings, as long as there's a quorum present. Even if you're just talking casually and you say something and you decide to do it, it's got to be documented in case you forget or something's lost in translation. I know that's crazy rigorous, and it can be very, very scary. But it's in an ideal situation, everything's going to be documented. But I completely understand and recognize that in order for every single word to be documented, the officer is going to have to be solely committed to doing that and nothing but that. And that's not something we can ask. Anybody else?
You know how in the courthouses they have the documenters that are like always in the background, like typing everything? I kind of feel like that, because you guys will be talking and I'll just be typing away and then add way after the conversation's done. But it's fun.
I think a big part of the secretary's job is to communicate with the president. I know as a chapter president, when I'm planning my agenda, I always hit up my secretary for the minutes from the last meeting, make sure I'm not like leaving anything out or skipping over anything that wasn't totally processed in the last meeting.
For sure. That's a good point.
Hey guys, my name is Levi Mickelson from the Holly FFA chapter, proudly serving you as your 2020-2021 Region Treasurer. As stated in the FFA manual, it is the Treasurer's job to receive, record, and deposit FFA funds and issue receipts, present monthly Treasurer reports at all chapter meetings, collect dues and special assessments, maintain neat and accurate Treasury records, prepare and submit the membership roster and dues to the National FFA Organization through the State FFA Organization Office in cooperation with the Secretary, and serve as the chairperson of the finance-related committees. Treasurer's role, I think, is a big role. There's definitely a lot of time that goes into it, whether that be organizing or counting. You spend a lot of time sitting down, filling out paperwork. I can tell you that. It's a big role that requires a lot of trust in the chapter. You know, you're trusting one person with your entire bank account to like handle that and make sure you're not overspending or underspending, really, if you're, you know, not trying hard enough on your projects. But I think a really big job for the treasurer is to serve on these committees. If your chapter has a big project where they're going to be spending a lot, I think it's important for the treasurer to be there to consult and double check people, like, whoa, let's not drop so much, you know, in one shot, and things like that.
For sure. All very good points. For the treasurer, I'm expecting just honesty and punctuality. And I know from experience that handling large amounts of money that isn't yours can be hard without proper training and guidance. So just as long as you're being punctual and very honest with everything that's going on, I think you'll succeed as an officer. For the region treasurer is solely in charge of making payments and collecting payments from chapters for regional activities. And that can be stressful, documenting every single penny. So it is a lot of work. It's a very rigorous position, and I applaud anyone that can do it successfully. For the chapter treasurer, a part of it is giving those monthly treasurer's reports, and especially like Levi touched on, helping correlate like fundraising committee profits and so on.
We actually have another scoring rubric for our competitions that we have, just like for the secretary. And I know looking at that rubric, that could really help you throughout the year, just to see as to what you need to document and what is important from what is not important to document. You know, if we decide to not actually spend any money, do I need to document that? If we do spend that much money, what needs to be saved, or receipts need to be saved, who needs to see what, that kind of stuff. And you can ask your chapter advisor for one of those rubrics just to see what you need to present at the meetings and what truly is important.
Very well.
The roles and responsibilities of the chapter reporter are as follows. Serve as chair of the POA Public Relations or related committee. Plan public information programs with local radio, television, newspaper, and service clubs, and make use of other opportunities in order to tell the story of FFA. Release news and information to local and regional news media. publish a chapter newsletter or website, prepare and maintain a chapter scrapbook, send local stories to area, district, and state reporters and to any school publications, send articles and photographs to FFA New Horizons and other national and regional publications and websites, work with local media on radio and television appearances and FFA news, and finally, serve as your chapter photographer. When it comes to the reporter's position, it's kind of up and down in some areas, in some cases, depending on how you look at it. So generally what the reporter is in charge of is most of the video and social media communications, whether it's between the chapter and those who follow your pages. Sometimes the reporter is in charge of contacting the local newspapers or local businesses in your community. It really just depends on what is going on your chapter level. I, as my chapter reporter last year, was in charge of making my chapter banquet after this year became virtual. So I made about a 30-minute long video, got all of the clips, and then put them all into one and released it to the community, to FFA members. So that was a really large job that I had to take on. And as a reporter, you should be ready for that. Video skills and social media skills are definitely something that is needed. And when I first became reporter, I was like, woo, woo, I get to post on Instagram, I get to post on Facebook. This is really exciting. And then I was hit with the, oh yeah, you also get to make a end of the year montage, end of this event montage, end of this, and use your video editing skills. And I did not have any video editing skills at that point in time. So I really had to just do a quick brain turnaround and figure out how to do it pretty quickly. And I think it worked out for the best, but be ready. You'll have to use your skills multiple times. It's not an easy job, but it definitely is a rewarding one at the end of the year. So social media skills, video editing skills, a lot of time and a lot of patience.
Yeah, I agree that it's not an easy job. It takes a certain type of person who's got a lot of ambition and like it takes like almost a passion, because posting on Instagram isn't always necessarily like rewarding right then. It can be a little bit unmotivating, but you've just got to keep that ambition and make sure you're keeping your members updated on everything we're doing, posted on social media wise.
I'd say you're almost like the chapter's face. You're everything on social media and everybody sees that. So you also need to make sure what you're saying on social media is correct and that you're not saying the wrong things that might lose membership because you want to gain the membership.
Very good point.
I think another really sort of general rule to follow is the more you post, usually the better. So I know on our personal Fertile Beltrami page, we've had maybe 15 to 20 posts in the past 3 years. So if you post more, typically you're going to get more engagement out of it. So I definitely recommend taking the time to figure out, what are we going to post? What are we trying to convey to our audience? Who is our audience? And what do we want to get out of what we are posting? And whether that is all of the events that you guys are going to, maybe doing a live stream while you're eating lunch at an event, maybe posting member photos at a national convention. Just keeping the engagement up will always help you to be more successful as an individual and then ultimately help on the chapter level.
That's exactly right. That's exactly what it is. Mm-hmm.
Hello, Region 1 FFA. I'm Robert Blanchard, your Region 1 Sentinel. As a Sentinel, my duties include assisting the President in maintaining order, keeping the meeting room, chapter equipment, and supplies in proper condition, welcoming guests and visitors, taking charge of candidates for degree ceremonies, and assisting with special features and refreshments. As a Sentinel, I really think the most important part is connecting with the members, saying hello to everybody as they come in, talking to the younger members, seeing if they have any questions. Part of my duties says it's to assist the President with order in the meeting room and also refreshments. But really, I think it's more just connecting with everyone in the room and making sure they all feel welcomed and they all know what's going on.
For sure. Very well said. I agree with that. What I'm kind of thinking is the Sentinel is here to aid in keeping order and being friendly and welcoming For example, at meetings, you're greeting people as they walk in and reminding them to sign in and do all of the necessary things to get ready for the meeting. Also, I'd say it's pretty important that they're the first ones yelling point of order or getting somebody under control if they're out of line.
I know in the Ross chapter last year, our sentinel we always called him the icebreaker because he was a adorable little 10th grader. He was always cracking jokes, in the meetings, because we would get very feisty in our meetings. And he was always there to keep the peace and, make lighthearted jokes, kind of keep us away from choking each other, to being like, hey, how about we think about how much fun this would be? But the Sentinel was always just that person for us to look to when we needed a pick-me-up.
Yeah, that's really good. I like what you said about that icebreaker and being the person to keep the peace. That's really insightful.
I know at our chapter, when I served as the Sentinel, I was basically told, hey, you get to be the social butterfly at all of these events that we're going to hold. We're just going to kind of kick you out into the crowd first before everybody kind of goes in. And you just have to talk to as many people as you possibly can. So as little, I think I was maybe an 8th grader or 9th grader at the time, I was like, I have to talk to complete strangers. What is this? But you just really have to be ready to get kicked into a group and make yourself welcome, know how to have a good conversation. They don't have to necessarily be long, but you definitely want to make it memorable for the people who are coming to the event that you're holding, or maybe coming to watch the competitions that you are competing in. So be ready to be open and be ready to communicate.
Yeah, adding on to that, there's kind of a level of public speaking skill that needs to be there as well. Being someone that's going to be introducing themselves a lot and welcoming people into the room and saying, hi, this is the meeting. And I think in Bob's case, he'll be helping me welcome members to a lot of events this year. So I'm looking forward to that, Mr. Bobby.
Hi everybody, it's Maddie, the Region Historian. It is important as a historian to develop and maintain a scrapbook of memorabilia to record the chapter's history, to research and prepare items of significance of the chapter's history, to prepare displays of chapter activities and submit stories of former members to the media, and to assist the reporter in providing photography for chapter needs.
I would say the historian is kind of the creativity of your chapter. You've got a lot of pictures. You're kind of like the tradition and history there. You're basing all of the chapter's successes into the scrapbook, which is the big end of the year thing. And that kind of motivates other members to join, especially seeing what you've done throughout the year. The younger members are like, oh, that was neat. I want to do that next year. And I think that's what helped me to get into FFA, was seeing previous successes and wanting to do the same thing. I also think you really need to work close with the reporter. Being the chapter reporter this year, having the historian work close with me was the best thing ever. It kind of takes some of the stress off of the reporter, and it's very, very helpful with helping take pictures. If the reporter is busy, then you can say, hey, I'll go take pictures for you. It's okay. You get to highlight everything for that year, and that's a big deal. And this scrapbook is a huge end of the year deal. And I know my chapter hasn't really done that in previous years, but I've seen other chapters do it, and it's a huge deal for some chapters.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's a good point. You're kind of the archive for everything, taking pictures, that knowledge, and especially with making that scrapbook. I think that there is also a scrapbook competition.
Yeah, it actually goes along with the secretary and treasurer's reports. The historian can bring the scrapbook in, and there's another scoring rubric for that as well, in which you can follow along and see what they're looking for while they're creating your scrapbook, what events they want to see, because they definitely want your main region events highlighted, but then they also want some of the events that your chapter itself has presented, and so you can present those in your scrapbook as well, as long as your officer achievements, your CDE achievements, your LDE achievements, anything that your chapter has achieved, they're going to want to see that in your scrapbook. And you can follow along on that and see what is appropriate to put in there and what's going to highlight your chapter the best of its abilities.
For sure. All good things.
Hi everyone, it's Katie Erickson, your Region 1 parliamentarian. The parliamentarian's duties are: be proficient with parliamentary procedure, rule all questions of parliamentary conduct at chapter meetings, serve as a participant or ex officio member of the parliamentary procedure team, conduct parliamentary procedure workshops at the chapter level, and chair or ex officio member on the conduct of meeting committee. Parliamentarian, the biggest role for you should be knowing parliamentary procedure, because if a member is gone, you either should know the duties of that officer, or if there's multiple gone, you should know all of their responsibilities. And if anybody has questions about Parley, you're always there to help them with that.
Definitely, and definitely there for making sure meetings run smoothly, making sure people use motions correctly. Actually, also, I think kind of help with the secretary and making sure everything gets done correctly, because if the secretary's fingers are moving at lightning rate, she or he can't be the one to correct every Parley mistake also. So I think that's a big role for the parliamentarian, keeping that Robert's rules on their hip at all times.
I know as a secretary, it's really nice to look at my parliamentarian, and if everyone's talking at once and 6 people second a motion, I need to know who was first in order to document it correctly. And if Katie and Maddie say it at the same time, it's kind of hard to tell, which one was which. And if I have a second person to look to, it can make it a lot easier documenting along the way.
I know that the parliamentarian is a really good job if you just have to ask for help on something, maybe a larger project that you took on, simply because a lot of the activities that the parliamentarian will be doing take place during the meetings when they have to be ready for the parley. So if you have a project maybe outside of the meetings throughout the year and you just need someone to help you out with it, the parliamentarian would be a really good option to just kind of be someone on standby who's like, yeah, sure, I can totally assist with this, as long as you don't obviously overload them with a lot of stuff. So they're definitely there to assist. That's a big help, but they're not necessarily there to flood them with things.
I think that, as silly as this might sound, I think the parliamentarian has to be really confident and able to correct people, because Parley in FFA is a tradition and we're trying to teach members these skills. And if we're not practicing them at our own meetings, then who are we to teach it, So if we're going through a meeting and a motion doesn't get done properly, you as the parliamentarian have the duty to stop and say, no, we didn't do that right, we have to redo it, or no, we can't actually make official business here, we don't have a quorum, and etc. So just knowing that Parley inside and out and helping us to run our meetings smoothly.
As an advisor, of course, our role here by the OWL is and older than the members, but to supervise chapter activities throughout the whole year, be that role model liaison between prospective students and parents about FFA and its positive image and positive impact on students. Of course, be that liaison too between students and filling them in, what opportunities are available, community support, helping build that up, helping to support that, but to guide our FFA members into assuming those leadership roles and being able to go on and do them on their own also, but embracing their ability and finding their potential to push them to, again, like I said, we advise them and push them to do these things and supervise those activities throughout the year.
I don't even know how to follow that up. That was so spot on. I mean, after all, the advisor is the sole adult that's keeping this organization alive. Even though we are a student-led organization, we need that wisdom and that advice sometimes to make the right decision, because we're not going to, right out of the middle school when we're coming into freshman year, we're not going to know exactly what to do. So look to your advisor for those opportunities that they can show to you, and just honestly trust the process is all I'd say about that.
Advisor is extremely important in getting new members as well. I know it's really important to have us as officers go out and seek children. I know in my sake, I wouldn't have joined FFA if it wasn't for Miss Olson.
Thank you guys for tuning in today. I hope you gained some more knowledge and resources and insight just on what your respective officer position is. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to any of us. We're here for you guys, and we just want to help you be the best you. Coming up next today is going to be another discussion about ag education and a advocacy where we're answering some of your guys' questions. So there's still time, still send us in those questions and we will answer them all and hopefully teach you some more at 3 o'clock.